Hello and welcome to this special tropical weather update from Cayman Hurricane Center. This update we'll be talking about the newly designated Invest Area 95L. This is the present just uploaded satellite floater imagery of our Invest area. Getting right into it. This invest area is a little bit of a shocker. Wasn't really expecting to see anything really pop up over the next week or so, but here we are, and this is one of those things. You have to look out for those pop-up systems. But here we go, the satellite imagery system, as you can see, developing a nice sort of rotation in the area of thunderstorms that are developing. This is basically a tropical wave or a tropical low pressure with a decent rotation developing along it. Waves axis is along there. And as you can see on satellite, you could already start to see that kind of rotation starting to take place there. And as it is terminal maximum now, the natural buildup of convective activity is pretty much kicking off now. It'll be interesting to look at where this takes off from here. But generally, forecasts by National Hurricane Center and now forecast models, generally westwards towards the Caribbean, southeastern Caribbean, Windward Islands. So our invest area is located right here. Generally, to give you the latitudes and longitudes, generally location, it is 10.7 north, 43.4 west, and it is moving west at a very nice, decent 15-mile pace, though not too rapid, which is what we've been seeing over the past couple of years in this region, with systems running very quickly along here, 25, 30 miles per hour, not really developing much till it gets to the Caribbean. But this was moving at a fairly decent pace, not too fast, but also not too slow. But anyway, generally westward moving track, outwards, or should I rather just, let me just do that again. Westwards track into the Caribbean, and you got this big giant high pressure out here, bringing that wind flow all the way across. So it is unlikely that this thing will end up pulling north of the Caribbean like so. Rather, if it does pull a little north, it would likely pull north through here as such. The other option is that it could either continue west as such and end up in Central America. I'll go into details with that in the forecast models in just a second. But yes, the National Hurricane Center has bumped up the potentials on this. They actually brought this up, I think it was yesterday, day before yesterday, with a low potential of formation. But since then, the most recent update had bumped up percentages to a medium chance over the next 5 days. So going into a little bit more with the forecast, and I do caution these model runs are brand new. They just came in. They still need to get more data into them, but generally speaking, these are the runs for the for our system. And so again, as I say, you got the southern camp, which is west, and you got the northern camp, which kind of northwest, sorry, which is kind of northwest as such. You also got a few other models that aren't really shown on here. You have the NavGem, which comes in relatively low, but then kind of picks it up kind of northwest like so. You also got the NOAA's FIM model, which throughout yesterday has been really developing this thing and kind of having a track something a little like that, um, either towards Cuba or towards the Yucatan, which is over that way. So, of course, very early days. A lot could change between now and even by the time the system reaches around here, or it could even be located up here. Um, but generally, we do think that it'll stay pretty far to the south, end up in the Caribbean, and the spread really takes place once it's in the central Caribbean. That's when the models really start to diverge on where exactly it would end up. But the other interesting thing is, and I do caution, it is very early. A lot of data still needs to go in, is the intensity forecast. And yeah, I do know that intensity forecasting is a bit more complicated and a bit more harder and a little less accurate than track forecasting. But hey, it gives you an idea on what the general outlook is. And of the recent run, you can see that it very much develops this thing at a fairly decent speed. As we are 24 hours from this point on, and we're already talking about possibly a weak to moderate tropical depression. 48 hours out, a good portion models are either in the tropical storm camp or strong tropical depression. And then, of course, by the time 3 days come along, 72 hours, they pretty much all agree, above tropical storm intensity. Quite impressed with the ship models that does take it into Cat 1 intensity. Some of them do start to budge its way towards a stronger tropical storm, possibly hurricane. Looking into the ship's data, it suggests lower wind shear, somewhat moist with humidity, not too dry. It's good. So, generally upward trend for the system. Obviously, as I said, there'll be more data needing to go in. And speaking of getting that data in, the National Hurricane Center did come out and say that they will be planning to launch recon missions into the system by the time it reaches at about 52 west. So that is generally located right about here. It said around this area is where they plan to do the recon mission. On Monday afternoon, they plan to send an aircraft out and figure out how well developed the system is by that time, and then also that data will go into the models and have a better handling on how the system will go. Then there'll be other recon missions, hopefully, that will fly in and around the area around here and up here and even over the system to determine much more data that will go into the models to help forecast it better. So, yep, this is a quick update, tropical update on this new development. I'll be back a little bit later with much bigger update on this, as well as talking about further into the season, as well as my updated seasonal forecast. So that is it from me for now. Good morning to all. This is Adam McDoom for Cayman Hurricane Center.